What's amazing is the technology of the day, the Technicolor, the real genius of that camera. Because one thing to make clear, the process, the digital restoration we're doing, we're not doing digital enhancement. There's no line doubling here. We're not creating false information. We're peeling away the layers that have prevented you from seeing what's been on those negatives all these years.
I'm about to embark upon a hazardous and technically unexplainable journey.
The picture process of this feature probably took about 8 months, which is a record for us. You do photochemical restoration, and it can take a year and a half. First, we started with contacting the archives and our own inventory as well. What you do is you pull in as many pieces that survive. You pull it in and start inspecting, element by element, piece by piece. This is the most protected film, I think, in history. We've got probably 6, 7 elements on this feature as backup.
My goodness, what a fuss you're making.
We're lucky enough to use the original camera negative, which was stored at George Eastman House for many years, and they curated this negative. It was in beautiful condition.
This one took longer than we have on the other ultra-resolution films because this was the first full 4K pipeline on it, we were learning a lot in the process. So sometimes we had to do things twice. We're scanning this at 4K 16-bit linear digital color space. This is the full gamut of film resolution. You're seeing Wizard of Oz in a way that it's never been seen before, because we're starting out with such a high resolution.
We scan this film in black and white at approximately 6 frames per second. 6 frames per second on a 4K 4:3 image is close to 300 megabytes per second. So it's 300 megabyte fire hose coming out of the scanner. Currently we have a little over 200 terabytes of storage. A terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes, and a gigabyte's 1,000 megabytes.
Sum of the square roots of any two sides of an isosceles triangle is equal to the square root of the remaining side.
When photochemical restorations have been done prior to this world, they were always done photochemically in laboratories where people would go literally with Q-tips and going in on the negative itself and trying to remove and clean dirt. It's not a good thing. You're touching this precious nitrate original negative.
This is a highly irregular procedure.
With digital, you don't even touch it. It's literally rolling past this scanner non-stop. It's not shuttling along with sprockets or anything like that. And then once you've scanned in the digital domain, you can manipulate it to your heart's content, yet that negative has now safely been returned to the vault. You only kind of took it out once and you're done.
The scanner is made by Thomson. It's a Spirit 4K scanner. It is scanning it as a black and white record each time. So technically we have to scan reels 2 through 6 on this movie 3 times. Once for the cyan, one for the yellow, and one for the magenta record. And then the software marries the 3 together.
Each record was processed separately. It's a chemical process. The chemicals are still changing, and the film shrinks over time independently of each other. And so what you've got to do is, with the new process, with the ultra resolution, they'll go through and basically morph each of the 3 images to make a perfect alignment.
That's why it's so important to get it absolutely right, to the pixel. Of course, we use the term pixel. Back when they built these cameras, there was no term of pixel, and they lined them up literally with micrometers and screwdrivers and tried to get it just absolutely perfect, which they may or may not have done in the camera. But then they make dupes of that, and then they make prints of the dupes. And by the time we got to the theater, am I holding up 4 fingers or 1?
These things must be done delicately.
We really took us about 3 features to get the registration right. The first 3 we did got better each time. It was also the first one where we used the automated scratch and dirt cleanup. The
Perlmutter twins, Sharon and Karen Perlmutter and Paul Klamer, they had this epiphany that not only had they developed this software where they could realign these 3 Technicolor records and achieve a clarity of image quality that you'd never seen before, they realized that, wait, with Technicolor, we've got 3 black and white strips of negative. So if I see some dirt that's a pure red and it doesn't show up on the green and the blue record, oh, then that probably is a piece of dirt on the red record. And so we can remove that, and we can use information from the other 2 records to rebuild that record.
The first time through, it was great. It was taking out the dirt, but it was also taking out things like Dorothy's shoes, because they're such sparkly red, bright pinpoint instances of color in them that they just kind of flash on and off, and the system was interpreting them as red film dirt.
Probably the most important thing is to get it back then in the hands of a skilled eye, because if we've learned anything is machines are really, really, really dumb.
I can cause accidents too.
The longest time actually was the dirt cleaning. It's a very tedious job, but these people are great. They just go through frame by frame and pick away at it.
And it's not a menial, mundane task. The people that do the dirt and scratch cleanup, it is artistry.
We do it's dirt and scratch removal.
And we also remove film tears. We do splice bumps. So, and any kind of damage you can find on a film, we could pretty much handle.
As far as hours, I would say close to 250 to 300 hours and a good month and a half.
The first 10 minutes of black and white, I worked 91 hours on.
That footage alone is a mess.
Yeah.
It's not so much in bad shape, there's just a lot of dirt.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Just like I knew it would be.
I love this movie. So when Janet Wilson was color correcting in this room, I would, you know, it was like I get my daily hit. I'd knock on the door and say, Janet, can I just see what you're looking at? And I'd just look at what she's working on because the image was so spectacular.
The first time through on any Technicolor film that I've ever worked on, I'll go through and I'll sort of get a basic setting, a basic look for it, and get the contrast right and the brightness, and just sort of let the color fall where it wants to, and then I go back and look at it, and it's always intensely saturated, way more saturated than you want it to be, basically, or than it was.
I believe it's at the last reel when Scarecolor says, and I have a brain. And that's when we noticed the burlap in his cheeks. And it was, oh my God, there's burlap. The makeup actually is an extension of the burlap that goes down here.
It's the craftsmanship that you're seeing revealed in these new digital processes. Like one of my days coming from my digital hit with Janet was, she said, Rob, come here, take a look at this. I've worked on this film a couple times before. I've never seen this before.
There's a rivet that the Tin Man has that's right here between his eyes, which I had never noticed. Nobody had ever noticed. Everybody walked in and went, oh, he has a rivet. I never saw that before. So, but yeah, you could see it because of the resolution.
The 5.1 track actually makes it a little bit more invisible for today's audiences because if it was mono, I think that would be a little bit distracting for them until they get into the film, of course. So a 5.1 seems more normal to them right now.
Everything that you're hearing in the 5.1 mix is organic to the original production of the show. We didn't go to a sound effects library for better cyclones. That helps maintain that original kind of organic feel. Even though it's a different stereo landscape, it still sounds like a 1939 movie. In restoration, the first step is administrative, finding what's out there. Then it all gets inspected and looked at and cleaned up, perforations repaired, splices repaired, put in a condition that it can be played so we can listen to it. To create the 5.1, we start with the restored mono mixed track. There were 4 channels in our source edit list that we used to do this 5.1 up mix. The original mono, 2 different orchestra angles, and then we also had specific edited sections of the music and effects track. The key to creating convincing 5.1 is to let the picture lead you. As far as the use of surrounds and stereo imaging and steering, again, if everybody's in the Emerald City staring up at a witch who's flying in circles overhead, that's what we call a stereo opportunity. There are a couple of little whooshes of a broom that pop out in the soundtrack. If everybody's looking beyond the camera off into the distance, well, there's a reason to place, circling witch in the surrounds.
Surrender, Dorothy.
Oh, Dorothy? Who's Dorothy? The wizard will explain it.
The wizard! The wizard!
Dear, whatever shall we do?
So what we're going to play is the beginning of Reel 2A, where she first enters the colorful world of Munchkinland, and you'll hear a typical example of the kinds of damage that can occur. Okay, then let's play an example of that same section after it has been restored. This is the 5-1, how all the different angles and cleaned up sources come together.
What's fun about this place is that everyone's passionate about being faithful to the original. Everyone's very passionate about the original aspect of this film and making sure that they're not changing anything that was the original intent of the filmmaker.
We enjoy what we do, and you have to because it takes a lot, of time, but it's well worth it.
We could polish these things up and you wouldn't even recognize it. But that's the problem, you wouldn't recognize them. And they would lose a lot of their charm and the aspects that drew people to see these movies for 50 years.
Rub, rub here, rub there, whether you're tin or bras. That's how we keep you in repair in the merry old land of Oz. That's how we